Okay, man. I'm a filmmaker who spent 8 years across broadcast, digital, and documentary. After all these years, I'm finally writing my own TV show. It takes the real setting of a tennis league here in Toronto and elevates it into something which I think taps into the current social and political zeitgeist of the world. While I write it, I'm using this channel to do two things. First, I want to share the real human stories that I came across during my journey in this league, the kind of stories that made me feel like there was something special worth writing about here. Second, for anyone trying to get into film or just interested in how stories are built from scratch, I'll be sharing the writing decisions I'm taking along the way, informed by years of craft knowledge and experience. I'm shaping each video like a chapter in a larger visual journal.
In this video, I'll be talking to Daniel, who teaches sports management.
And on the writing, I'll be sharing the decisions I'm making about the genre of the show. Okay, man, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Daniel, and I'm an assistant professor starting at York University in sport management, actually. I teach about social sciences, so I teach and research about social issues related to sport.
Okay.
So I do actually write about and talk about the meaning people find from sport and positives of that, but also sometimes the negatives of that with the kind of extreme fandom, extreme identification with teams, and how that can create some harm for athletes as well, right? When fans care maybe a little bit too much and are too into their teams and their athletes and their gambling, and then they start berating athletes and things like that. But I study social issues, political issues related to sport and exercise and health. And
that's fascinating.
Yeah,
so cool.
Thank you. And I'm also a recreational athlete of all sorts. So I try to play tennis a few times a week in the summer and in the spring. And then I play basketball in a rec league once a week, and I play pickup another once a week. So usually trying to do something, not just sport, but with people actually, in in an active way, not just going to the gym, but playing some kind of sport 2 or 3 times a week. I play hockey during the winter too. So it's a huge part of my life. I already find tons of meaning, and I know I'm a worse person without it, as in more irritable, less positive about kind of life in general. I'm just more excited and happy and fulfilled when I'm participating in all sorts of sports. So it's obviously very important to me, and it sounds like a great project that you're doing.
Thank you. You're the perfect person in the industry. I feel that's pretty cool. You want to share some research you've done? What have you been working on?
So I had a book that came out last year. I was working on it for a few years before that, but it came out last year called...
A book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so called Playing Through Pain, the violent consequences of capitalist sports. So it's about how when our sports are oriented around profit and professionalization, and kids are playing sports from a young age, and they're videoing their games to send to scouts when they're 12 years old, and when we have these athletes that are doing everything they can to make the Olympics or to make the next team, and they're taking painkillers. I'm basically writing about all the harms that come from a win at all costs, profit at all costs mode of sport, which when you're talking about your project, it's actually sounds pretty different, right? It sounds like sport is not for a job or for kind of making money for it. All that's the economy's taken care of in this future AGI world. But it's just for meaning, which to me is kind of a perfect way. I actually end my book talking about recreational adult sports and how it's one of the better versions of sport that we have. So that's some of my research.
I'd love to read it. Is it published?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's out wherever you can order books online. It's usually not in bookstores because it's still an academic book, but it's written for a general audience more. So
that's interesting, man. Okay, so if I was to ask you, because you play a lot of recreational sports, would you say... I feel tennis has a certain interesting kind of unique property where it's you versus you a lot of the times, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that can have a good or bad effect. Sometimes I've had periods of my life where my career is kind of in a lull, and because film is hard.
Yeah.
And while I'm trying to navigate that, if I focus on improving in tennis, there's so many carryover kind of effects, right?
Interesting.
So have you ever in your personal life had a phase where maybe you had a personal goal or you had a struggle that you were going through and you had tennis to kind of help you out?
It's interesting. I'm thinking back to, I lived in BC for a few months.
I was in Vancouver for my school as well.
Nice. Yeah, I was in Kelowna. So interior.
A party city.
Is it? I was it was mid-COVID. So there's it was mid-COVID, but I was struggling a bit as I was starting to teach my first classes at university and dealing with major anxiety and about it. And now that I think about it, one of the things I was doing during that time was playing tennis. I found a community similar to the one that we have here at Dovercourt like a group chat. It was like, it was a Facebook group back then.
Uh-huh.
Of people who were playing. So I did find some friends and people because I didn't know anyone when we moved out there for a few months. And so played there. And it is a sport that I find, like a lot of sports, you can turn off the rest of the stuff. So if things are going badly or like there's a lull in your personal life or in your work life, it is somewhere where I can just focus on like hitting the next ball. Right? And like,
there's something about hitting that ball,
yeah,
right?
of course. And there's a huge value in that, and a huge value in also just like getting away from the rest of life and having to be singularly focused.
For sure.
And yeah, it's a super mental game, but that's why I actually think that having our little community of people is nice, because you get to talk tennis.
I think it's
with
so cool.
people, right?
Yeah.
Like, and talk about the struggles you have and see if people have the same ones. And then
It is about improvement mostly. It's really not about like winning or losing, for me at least. You know?
No, for sure. Like I love playing against people who are as good as me or close to me or better than me, especially just because it's like, oh, here's a chance to improve. And we were talking after our match, like that both of us were like, why weren't we, really hitting
Playing our
for
game.
a set? Like we were both kind of tentative, and it was like, why are we doing that? But that's like another hurdle you got to get over.
You're
Just
quite good though,
swinging
man.
through.
I
Thank
will
you.
say that.
Thank
You're
you.
like
No, it
super
was fun.
consistent and,
You're good too. It was
something to learn from that.
It was a fun match. Like I've had good matches. I lost my last one to someone who's also really good. So
Who'd you play?
Jake.
Oh, I played him.
Yeah.
I won once against him, but like it was one of those days where you're just playing out of your socks, And then I played him
He's
again,
very, very good.
and he destroyed me.
He's super consistent and
Very
really
consistent.
good,
and a great guy actually.
Yeah. We had exactly, and everyone I've met pretty much
Yeah.
through here, almost everyone has been like,
Yeah.
just cool to play with and
Cool to chat
fun
with.
and chat, and like no one's yelling about like out calls, and no one's getting mad at each other for like calls.
Have you met?
That's that's the one. Yeah.
He's not a bad guy either.
No,
but,
he's
like,
not. He's not a bad guy. He's one of those people, though. I've had a few of them in my life where different person on the court versus
Exactly.
I have a friend like that who I play basketball with. That nicest guy in the world, super chatty. Actually, a filmmaker as well. He's a director.
Okay.
And when he gets on the basketball court, though, oh my god, different guy, right? Like I've seen him get technical fouls. I've seen him lose his mind on the court. Like just a completely different guy. People are like that with sports too, which is
For sure.
always funny when it's not like we're not doing this for money or for
Exactly.
anything, and yet we still get so mad. But
Exactly. How did you start playing, and how did you find this league?
so I started playing years and years ago. My dad is a recreational tennis player, like plays a kind of extreme version of how I play, in the sense that he just is super consistent and never hits winners, but also never gets errors.
Good at the net?
No, not good at the net.
Oh, okay.
That's our difference. But he just never, like, he has no power, and so it's like he gets everything over, and like we'll get it back to you. So he kind of taught me, but it was very much like a not being taught by a pro or even like a real coach. So I have a bit of a funky game, but played with him since I was like 5 years old, and then kept growing with that.
That's
Had
so
some
cool.
friends that I played with.
Yeah.
And I played competitively when I was like 12. I chose to play hockey instead, which in hindsight was not a great decision because I'm not very good at hockey, but I'm pretty good at tennis. But
Adam used to play hockey as well, by the way.
yeah. And
he was like in the
he was a really
league.
good hockey player.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a really good hockey player. And then this league, I found, because I live around the corner from here, and I was here at Dovercourt with my dad, who I was in town from Montreal, and we were playing, and then I bumped into my sister-in-law's brother who lives around here, and then we played after that because I saw him playing. He was pretty good. David, you played David Silverman?
No, the name rings a bell.
Yeah, so he's really good too, and so we played, and it was super fun. And he's like, yeah, I'm in this WhatsApp group, this ladder, and then
Okay, sweet.
awesome.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, this is great.
Picking up from where I left off in the last chapter, I had come across Infinite Jest, and it was fast becoming a strong reference for the kind of world I would want to build for my show as well. One of the major things that I believed early on was that I also wanted to explore something absurd and satirical, just like in the book. I knew that satires were a great way to explore meaning without being too heavy, and as I explained in the last video, that search for meaning had to be central to the plot. So I started looking at some well-known satirical TV shows like Nathan For You and Beef. The more I studied them, I realized they all varied in the amount of comedy that they used and the type of comedy that they used. Nathan For You was absurd and silly, but the deeper question of capitalism's failure was hidden underneath. An MBA grad coming in and suggesting flavored ice cream at an ice cream store to boost sales is clearly a commentary on the financial systems that we live in. Beef, on the other hand, takes the humor a little lower and leans more on the loneliness underneath modern success. It does that through a road rage incident between two strangers who decide to ruin each other's lives over it. By the end of the pilot, they started something neither of them could stop. The fight isn't really about the parking lot. It's about everything they never said out loud to anyone else. So between Nathan For You and Beef, I could see how comedy varied across satires that asked deeper questions. But there was still something missing. Beef's premise was a road rage incident. Nathan's was a fake reality show. Both of them are heightened, yes, but still firmly within the world we live in. What I needed was something with the premise itself doing more work, because the world of recreational tennis in itself may not have been enough to explore the deeper themes that I wanted to. So I started looking at other shows with larger-than-life premises that opened the door to something deeper. The two shows that kept coming up were The Leftovers and Severance. The Leftovers, in case you haven't seen it, is about a world where 2% of the population suddenly vanishes. No explanation, no cause. The show isn't actually about that event. It's about how people live in a world where something unexplainable has happened and they have to keep going anyway. In my favorite episode, we focus on a priest who has been going around trying to convince everybody that the dear people that everyone lost were actually bad people. He's doing that to prove that what happened wasn't actually the rapture, where the righteous are taken to heaven before the apocalypse. Because if it was the rapture, why didn't they take him, a priest who's done everything right? And if the people who vanished weren't bad, then Christianity doesn't apply to the world, which means his whole life has been a lie. The show is full of moments like this. There's a cult that smokes themselves to death because of the guilt they feel for having been left behind. The protagonist, who is the chief of police, has his wife leave him, despite the amount of love that they used to share together, for this cult. What I love about that show is every story beat makes you wonder, what is the writer trying to say? What is the meaning of this? That search is baked into the structure of the show, not just through humor. That's the move I wanted to learn. Then I moved on to Severance. The premise is simple but completely out of this world. People can surgically separate their work selves from their home selves. Those two halves of you never share a memory. The show is about how that one change rewrites everything about your life. Identity, relationships, what work even is. And as I researched more, I came across a term called speculative fiction. It talks about how one thing is raised from reality, why everything else within that world is the same. For my show, the speculative premise then becomes this. We're a few years into the future. AI has gotten good enough to do almost any job a human can do. Work, as we know it, is mostly obsolete, and a universal basic income covers everyone's needs. People have started turning to other things to find meaning. Partying, art, sport, some people play in basketball leagues, some people play in tennis leagues. And as we progress in the narrative, we see that team sports like basketball attract a certain kind of people, and we'll explore psychologically what that means. Tennis, on the other hand, pulls in the kind of people who want to focus on their inner conflicts. A lot of people who play tennis know that because it's an individual sport, a lot of it is you versus you. I'd be interested in exploring that. What I find most interesting about this premise is that it kind of mirrors what's already going on in our lives right now. People in these leagues already use it to fill certain holes in their lives or certain needs and desires that they wish to fulfill. That's what I'm trying to showcase through the interviews that I've been taking. But what this premise does is it elevates it to a certain point where these characters would place so much emphasis on this part of their lives. Now that they don't have jobs, this is their primary source of meaning and primary source of motivation, perhaps. When you see a character care so much about that part of their lives, I'm sure that people will be able to relate that to their current lives today. In the next chapter, I'll focus on allegorical characters and what those actually are. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.